All right, well, it's 12:31. Let's get going. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our second Freddie-centric webinar of 2020. We're calling this one "How to Report on Your Agency Assets." I'm Andy Sterling. I run new business for CW, and I'm joined once again with my colleagues Dan Linder and David King. Dan runs sales, marketing, and client relations for our technology platform, Real Insight. And Dave runs our diligence and valuations team, covering both the agency and the non-agency credits. We were last together back in April. A lot has happened between then and now. In April, we discussed issues around the forbearance, as well as improvements to the platform. And today we'll focus on how Real Insight can help you report on your agency assets, and we'll talk about some new additions to the platform as well. For those of you who participated in the Freddie Optigo stream recently, I know I did. Technology, innovation, they're always key themes for Freddie, but they're key to CW as well. Really, our entire platform, is supported by Real Insight technology, and that's just really one important way we differentiate ourselves from the competition. And this year, we're proud to be part of a few Freddie firsts. We were part of the CMBS Deal of the Year, KF73, which had the SOFR component, and also their first green sustainable deal, KSG1, to mention just a few. Also on December 9th, we'll be auctioning off our first Freddie asset on our sales platform Marketplace. The asset's called Creekside Court Apartments. It's located in Shippensburg, PA. So I invite anyone who might have interest in the asset or just like to know more about Marketplace, reach out to us. We'll make sure you get that information. We're always happy to provide a demo on Marketplace and put you on our email distributions for a list of upcoming auctions. I know we'll all be watching that one very closely. At this point, we virtually have every Freddie product in our portfolio, and we recently added a rare Q deal, thanks to our friends over at California Community Reinvestment Corp. So I want to thank CCRC for that one. I don't need to really remind everyone, what a challenge the first quarter was. I think we spent a lot of time, with Freddie and our clients figuring out, how we can reopen the market after the shutdown. I mean, we really didn't know at that time, how long it was going to last. In some points, I kind of saw the year sort of slipping away. But we got down to business, and CW was the first diligence provider to implement and offer a solution to our clients and Freddie, to the pandemic dilemma, which was surrounding the underwriting protocol. So we're proud of that, and we want to thank everyone who worked with us on that. So it turned out we really weren't down that long, under the circumstance, and that just points to the strength of Freddie and the investor base in this market and how it performed this year. And I know Dave's going to present some interesting statistics and what we're seeing in the market in a little bit. So on behalf of all of us, just want to thank you for your business this year. We're ending the year real strong. We've got 122 plus billion of AUM and named special servicer, and that's just in Freddie. So our next name deal is actually going to be our 150th, believe it or not. So I'm going to throw it out there. We'd love someone on this call to put us over the top. We may even have a little surprise in store for you to celebrate that milestone with us. So we're really proud of that 150th deal, which hopefully we will be able to get to very soon. So investors on this call, who are not currently working with us, we invite you to be happy to discuss that with you. So we invite you to join us and how we might work together. And also for those joining the auction season, again, or for the first time, please reach out to us. We can discuss how we can support you in the competitive situations. We do that all year long, not only on agency, but in CMBS as well, of course. So with that introduction, I'll turn it over to Dan and Dave to get to the meat of the presentation and leave some time for Q&A at the end as well. So Dan, why don't you take it from here? Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Andy. I appreciate that. I just wanted to say, for those who have seen Real Insight before, this will be a good refresher on how CWCapital and clients use Real Insight to surveil and monitor their Freddie investments. In addition, what we'll do is we'll go over some of the new reports and reporting functionality that we added over this last year as we continue to take feedback from clients and keep on, staying ahead, being innovative, and trying to provide our clients the best possible service and the best possible technology. For those of you who are seeing the technology for the first time, Real Insight is a web-based, cloud-based technology used across all of CWCapital for their entire third-party Freddie book across surveillance, asset management, and special servicing. Real Insight serves as both a complementary and subscription-based service. And when we work with Freddie investors on Real Insight, we do provide the most accurate, the most up-to-date information through pulling monthly remit data and updates on the Freddie investments from an API coming directly from Real Insight and directly from Intex into Real Insight. We also pull information from Freddie's CRT system. So weekly, if there are updates on forbearance or any type of COVID-related criteria, we're able to pull that information and supplement what also comes from that CREF CIRP and comes from Intex. Finally, the way that information gets into Real Insight is through the team on the surveillance side, through David King's team, through the asset management team, through the special servicing team, where as we are monitoring, as we are surveilling, as we are working very hard, very diligently on your portfolio, we're also providing you, our client, access to Real Insight so that you can see that commentary, those comments, that update in real time on the very important investments that you guys have. So if there's important information, you're seeing it from all of the sources. And I just wanted to highlight that because I think that's really important. So all of this data centralization and communication allows you, the investor, to report as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible internally to your investors and internally to your team. So you have both. So always very helpful. And the theme is reporting, so I just wanted to touch on that. Taking a closer look at Real Insight and the Freddie demo environment that I'm sharing right now on the screen, you can see that there are a number of dashboards where we're providing some of those real-time updates that we're talking about. And that's the first thing I want to highlight a little bit. For example, you could see this COVID-19 forbearance by loan and by bond. So for example, in this demo, this Freddie demo environment that I'm sharing, if you wanted to understand the number of loans or all of the loans that you have that are on that forbearance list, you have that ability to see it broken out by loan and obviously jump in to see the underlying loan information, right? And get much more granular to see that data that, is painfully normally taken, from the remits and not as nicely presented. It's obviously very nicely presented in Real Insight. And then you have the ability also, just an example, to roll it up and say, these are my Freddie investments. These are the 20 deals that I'm involved in. Or these are the deals, and then how many loans. So there's 20 loans, I should say, that you have exposure to where there's those investments. So for example, if I just jumped into like K47, I would see those two, and I would take a look at that. So I just wanted to highlight that. I think that's really important. Essentially, what's also nice about Real Insight, on top of some of these canned dashboards, is that if you, the investor, have specific criteria, specific stratification, specific points of interest. For example, if you wanted to understand your stratification based on MSA, based on property type, based on subproperty type, if it was important for you to say, I log in and I understand what loans are in special servicing, what loans are in surveillance, what loans are on a watch list, you have that ability to then drill in further and take a look at that information. So for example, it shows 200 that are in the watch list, click through it, get to that underlying information, and drill in further to take a look at that. Now you could, from a reporting perspective, just output all of this into Excel, or what is very nice from a reporting perspective, if you have specific types of templates, or if you have templates that you want to take from us and update, or if you internally, want to give us a template and have it be part of Real Insight, you have the ability to do that. So for example, if I was looking at this Ann Arbor City Apartments, and I wanted to take all of this loan data and output it into a nice and neat report, I would just click on this asset review form, I would generate it and point in time, all the data that's been updated, let's say today or updated, you have the ability to output that into a very nice and neat report. So for example, here is the asset review form, branded the way you'd like to do it. This is just an example where this is something that you'd have the ability to output all of your loan data, all of your property data, all of your information. So I just wanted to highlight that a little bit. On top of that, in Real Insight, and this is really more about workflows, but it also has to do with reporting and what is important to you, the investor, is you have the ability to set various alerts, prompts, messages, calendar invites, calendar prompts, whatever it is that you care about when you log in. So what you're doing here is you are managing by exception. So for example, if you wanted a notification to go both in Real Insight and to your email telling you, something, debt service dropped, or a major lease is expiring, or something is going on, right? Whatever you have, exposure to, you have the ability. So obviously from this standpoint, you can see that there are a number of prompts that are notifying you that something, is in forbearance, and you have the ability to just click on that and drill in further and take a look at that information. So this is a nice level of workflow and, making your data actionable as information comes in from all of these different sources. So I just wanted to highlight that. Taking it a step further, and some of the things that we're trying to do in a very custom way, and by listening to our clients, we've been able to, between our client team, our data team, our content team on the Real Insight side, give our clients what they want and give them the best service possible. So we've gotten a lot of suggestions in terms of reports that would be very helpful. For example, we understand that there's, various different, fund structures that a number of the investors have, and we want to be able to, you to be able to report in that way. So for example, if I were to jump into something that's a little bit more related to portfolio reporting, what I would do, and I'm just going to go through this Ann Arbor City Apartments again, and I'm going to look at the, let's say, portfolio or fund that it is in. And I'm just going to open up and run this, portfolio report and just start to talk about this a little bit. Just take a second. So what I'm showing here is what we call our portfolio bond stratification analysis. And what this is taking all of the loan data, property data, bond data that is flowing into Real Insight on a regular basis and extracting it in with all of the very specific structure, logic, and anything and any type of important stratification or report that you want to do. So for example, what you can see here is the kind of the population of, of your entire, let's say, portfolio. But if you wanted to be more specific and choose specific portfolios or funds, this is the ability to say, I want to choose individual, let's say, funds. And because I'm very interested in the collateral and I'm very interested in the loans and what my exposure is to the specific, let's say I choose the top two. So what's happening here is the report knows to pull the information that is related to, and these are just demo fund names, ARD and ARD2. So what it will do is it will pull the information for all the loans, properties, all that data for just those two and populate it on the summary page. And it will export and populate all of that information and then say, I have specific criteria that I want to focus on. I want to see all that information for those two funds and I want to look at a debt service range. I want to see, what is in various statuses like REO, like foreclosure, like special servicing. So it's pulling all of that information into the criteria that you preset. And as information is being centralized into Real Insight, as it gets updated, you have the ability to report and see that information in the exact way that you want to see it. Because this is a report, and this is something that David King, who runs our surveillance group at CWCapital, is using or looking at or is very familiar with. Dave, if you don't mind, I'll have you kind of talk a little bit further about how something like this is very helpful for Freddie investors.
Yeah, I mean, really, Dan, and I appreciate that. Thank you. Really, this stems from hearing various client and DCH complaints on the lack of an ability to aggregate portfolio level data easily. Trap doesn't do it, Bloomberg doesn't do it. So what we were thinking when we built this report is, because nobody really does fund level reporting, and we know that various structures exist within the Freddie universe. We know certain funds own certain portions, other funds of bond collateral, and they can kind of sprinkle through the fund structure. We thought it was important to develop a tool to be able to dissect those various fund structures at our DCH level. So that's kind of what you're seeing here. And then kind of the most important part about this report is the engine in the back. And typically we would hide this, or you wouldn't really see it. You would just pull the model. But the loans, property, and bond data in the back of this is 100% pulled from Real Insight. This is all of the data that's in the system, coming from automated IRP feeds, coming from special servicing, coming from CRT. All that information that we're aggregating from various sources is coming and dumping into the back end of this model. So while the front end and the fund reporting, which is hugely beneficial and has been really well received by our client base, is the purpose of this report, it's very important to note that all of your loan information is on the back tabs of these, and you can expand this indefinitely to a asset specific drill down. As Dan showed you, you had that asset management report or that asset specific report that you could add into that. All that data is here, so you can really start to begin to create your focus loans, or a total automation really is the end goal of your fund reporting, of your quarterly reporting, of all your kind of reporting needs there. So that's what we're building at CW. This report is kind of the first step. And again, it really stems from, there was no product on the market that was doing this fund level reporting.
Absolutely. And Dave, before you go into some of your market commentary, I just wanted to mention that, a lot of these reports, something specific to this especially, is customizable. That if there are things that your investors want that internally, you have to do by hand, and normally it's pretty painful, we'll work with you. We support you. We'll work with you. It's a partnership, and we're listening to our clients, and we'll give you guys, this type of service and performance. And if you want to use what we have, use it. If you, we also have the flexibility to, make these updates and work with you on that. So it's something we're very excited about, something we think we'll be talking to, more of you about, and we're excited to do that. And, with that, Dave, I appreciate it. And, let's let everybody know what's going on in the market.
Yeah, I mean, end of the day, Dan, we want investors focused on the important things, which is, as we all know, naming CW on their new issue agency investments. So anything we can do to help cut down reporting requirements is what we're here to help do. So transitioning a little bit over to what we're seeing in the market. Our agency book, as Andy mentioned, has grown to over 120 billion. We're at 6,100 loans. And what I think is really telling about the state of the Freddie market and the agency market right now is of those 6,100 loans, we only have 11 total deals in special. 2 of those are actually on their way back to the master as bring current situations. To date, on the forbearance side, we've granted 139 1.0 forbearances. 81 of those are paying as agreed. 21 are either delinquent or in the process of getting some form of additional relief. 20 of those 1.0 loans have been paid off. And of the 139, 17 have requested some form of 2.0 for forbearance. It will come as no surprise to anybody here, but of those 17, 5 are student housing and 9 are senior living. So the bulk of your 2.0 forbearance deals are in those kind of at-risk sectors that everybody's been talking about for, the past 18 months or so. We've only rejected CW and our DCH clients have only rejected 1 2.0 forbearance request. All but 2 of the 17 2.0 requests have DSCRs that are above 1.0. So kind of the request processed, there's been a material decline in performance of those assets. So it's kind of proving out that those assets hovering around 1.0 are the ones that are really getting the attention in 2.0. And then kind of on the delinquency side, again, all of this is powered by our internal CWCam Real Insight database. We monitor delinquency. Our 30-day DQ has been creeping up here. For a frame of reference, in March, the percent of non-specially serviced delinquent loans was at 0.20%. Fast forward to October, we're looking at a rate that has increased to 1.63. And the bulk of that movement has occurred between August and October, where DQ rates kind of went from the 0.5% level to the current 1.63. And breaking that down a little bit further, evidence would support, again, student, independent, and senior are having the toughest goes. We're about 3.5% delinquent on student, 5.37% delinquent on independent living, and about 3% on IL/AL deals. Another particularly hard hit segment, and though our portfolio is a little bit smaller in this realm, the walk-up product is also showing signs of a little bit of slippage at 9%, but again, from a comparatively smaller sample size. Just all things that we're monitoring at CW and are all powered by Real Insight. And I think these are to monitor 6,100 loans and report on it and, provide timely information would really not be possible without an asset management system.
Thanks, Dave. So it goes without saying, it's an important business for us. We continue to upgrade not only our technology, but our talents as well and our staffing, and we've added some really great people this year, both on the technology and on the credit side. So let's see if there's any questions at this point, and maybe open up the mic to that.
Yeah, any questions on the technology or what we're seeing or just the overall process?
Anything in the chat room?
Hey, it's Alex Crenshaw. I have a quick question.
Sure.
You guys had thrown out a percentage just now, 9% for walk-up urban properties. Was that for delinquency?
Yes, that was for delinquency. It's a very small number. It's a missed percentage. Our book, again, is a little bit smaller on the product type. I would say, but it's definitely one that we've been watching is small balance. Though small balances perform very well throughout COVID, there's a lot of borrowers who are operating below 1.0 who are making their debt service payments as agreed. So we're very pleasantly surprised by our small balance portfolio.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Alex.
Any other questions that we can help with? Anything?
If there's no questions, please feel free to reach out to any of us at any time, and we'll be happy to, follow up on any of the things we talked about today. So if not, just want to thank everybody for joining today. Have a great holiday season and stay safe, and hopefully we'll do another one of these things after the turn of the year. So thanks again and have a great rest of the week. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.